Well, Michelle, it's Monday the 30th in the afternoon. Every day is beginning to feel like the same day, at least on my end. Every day feels like a week, and they're all blending together. How's your Monday going?
I feel exactly the same way. Before this call, I was talking to one of my employees and we said the same thing. You know, the weekend went by and we kicked off Monday, and so much news and information came out over the weekend. It just seems like a week went by and every day is changing.
Yeah,
So
it really is. It really is. Well, Michelle, I've known you personally for quite a while here in the community. I pass by your business and the sign quite a bit. I'm sure a lot of people do too, and may not even know what you do and what your
right.
business is. So, for those that don't, introduce yourself and your business.
Well, my name's Michele Pitman, and I've been part of the Coppell community for probably about 30 years now. I started my business 11 years ago. It's called IntelliVOL, but the sign that you see on Denton Tap across from the Coppell Administration Building, it says x2VOL, which stands for Time to Volunteer. And so we've been in Coppell, part of the community, like I said, for 11 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So just real quick, like big picture, so people understand, what does your business do? Tell us about that.
So what we do is we provide an online tracking and reporting platform for schools and districts across the United States and Canada. And they're able to track everything that students are doing from a community service standpoint and a service learning standpoint. They can track everything in x2VOL, and then they're able to report on that as well. Everything is approved and verified through our platform. And we have thousands of schools and districts and nonprofit organizations that use x2VOL. Students are able to take that information and then attach it to their college transcripts when they're submitting their application, or their high school transcripts so that they can get into college. So it's like an official form of service that they've done throughout high school.
And so the school districts are basically your customer. That's who your main customer is.
Right, schools and districts. And actually, New Tech High at Coppell is our very first pilot school. It'll be 10 years ago when we did our pilot with New Tech on April 1st. So
wow,
that'll mark our 10-year, launch with New Tech High. And so from that pilot with New Tech, we went immediately after that, we went beyond Texas, and we went nationally and then into Canada. We were international for a while. We pulled that back. So we're focused on the US and Canada.
Well, I've enjoyed over the years getting to know you better, getting to know your business better. So we're gathered here today to just have a conversation about, how this COVID-19 pandemic is affecting businesses. And so let's just have an open dialogue about that. I mean, how has this last week, 2 weeks, how has it impacted your business, if any?
It has severely impacted our business because our customers are schools and districts. So around March 16th, that's when all of the schools and districts began going remote. So, and doing online learning or adjusting and adapting to that new way of working. And so it immediately impacted us because our entire customer base shifted to a new model. So we had to pull back for the first week and just kind of wait and see how they were, reacting to the new way of working. We were thinking best case scenario and worst case scenario because we had no idea what was going to happen. And that is our only customer base is our schools and districts. So it was very scary, but we have a really strong team, and I've got 7 employees, and everybody is very abstract thinking, creative problem solving. So we were able to look at the pros and cons of what was happening. But financially, it's a huge hit for our company. And we've worked so hard for these 11 years to get to where we are, but we will have to rely on that SBA loan that's going to be available in the next few weeks. So that's something that we're looking at covering that gap so that we don't have to impact our employees. But that is, as a small business owner, just that weight of knowing that your employees are depending on you, and as a small business owner, not really knowing all of the answers, not having all of the answers. So I have to watch the news and look at what legislation has passed and keep up with, through our attorneys and my CFO. We're fortunate to have some really good investors who have backed us ever since the very beginning. They've been such a blessing to us, and they're standing right by us to help us get through this period as well. But it's been very difficult, and I'm sure other business owners are facing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm hearing all different kinds, right? Because I've been able to talk to retail, retail non-essential, retail essential, business to business, business to consumer, all different models. So you mentioned the SBA loans. How are you relying on getting the right kind of information? So if there's others out there, small business wise, are trying to figure this out, or spending time with their CFOs or their accountants, legal teams, or what advice do you have for them from what you've learned on how to try to access the right information to figure it out?
Well, I think you have to just kind of step back and not be too quick to react to what's coming out, because it seems like the messages are changing every day. And so the very first SBA loan that came out, you had to personally guarantee. That was part of the deal. But then 2 weeks later, this legislation passed, and now there's a loan forgiveness portion of that. And so I'm just watching what's happening, through social media, through, just the online feeds that I'm getting. And then also I'm relying on my CFO. So he manages a lot of technology companies, not just ours. And so he's really the one I rely on the most. So I think my advice would be to get a trusted advisor who can help you through this and walk you through it and let you know what the long-term impact is. Because the short-term benefit is that you're going to be able to cover payroll, and you'll cover your contractors' costs, and maybe some other things along with that, rent, utilities, things like that. But you need to look at what the long-term impact to your business is, because you have to be able to make it in the long run, not just this short period of time. And nobody knows what that looks like, because we've never been in this kind of situation before. So I think everybody's trying to figure it out, but I would just, rely on somebody that can help you see a little bit farther into the future to make sure it's the right decision for your company.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Day to day, week to week, kind of before all this happened, were you spending, your business is basically an online platform business.
Right.
So you were spending probably lots of times on email, and you've got development teams that you're managing and things like that.
Right.
Other than the kind of obvious and the financial and the employee side of things, what have you had to adapt to with customers, or even with your employees if they can't all come to the office to work? Like, what other things are you having to do as a business owner to adapt?
Well, we've always been remote, so we had that down, and we felt like that was a huge advantage for our team, because culturally nothing changed for us. The things that did change were the way that we had to adapt our messaging to our customer base. So instead of trying to sell or talk about who we are and encourage them to move to a digital platform to track their service hours, instead of that kind of messaging, we switched, because we have to think about where they're coming from and how we can help them. And so we have switched our messaging to provide resources for them. And that's been the biggest switch, is just that messaging of, providing them with some free resources, helping them find virtual opportunities for their students. And that way their students can continue to engage in the community, and but not necessarily have that direct contact with people. So we've been suggesting sources and resources for them, and then providing professional development courses for them. we've always had these, but now we're making them more widely available so that while teachers are at home, they can also earn their professional development units or CEUs that they need while they're at home. If they have some time, they can at least gather that while they're at home at no charge.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, as we wrap up, if others that see this want to learn more about your business or share this with other school districts, how do they do that?
They can go to x2vol.com. That's the letter X, the number 2, and then VOL.com. And they can learn more about us there. And I just would like to mention that students across the U.S. who have been using x2vol this year will have made a $1 billion impact. And that's just through the hours that they put into our system. And that's huge. So this particular generation, they're out there and nothing can stop them, not even this virus. They're going to go out and make a positive impact on the world. They have been and they always will. So just rely on the high school students in your neighborhood. They're there to help.
Boy, that's the case. I'm sure there's a lot of parents and grandparents that had to call on high school students and the younger generation to, yes. How do I set up Zoom? And what is Facebook Live? For sure.
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, Michele, it's really good to see you. Glad to hear that you guys are up and rolling, obviously, but really hope that things can kind of get back to normal, whatever the heck that means.
Yes.
Districts and then therefore your business. So Michele, I appreciate it. Best of luck and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Todd, and thank you for doing this. It's good to hear from other people in the community as well. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Talk to you later.